Welcome to another story made by Oracle 1. The woods are breathing. Ashen twilight spilled over the dense forest of black growth, filtering through ancient boughs and casting long, creeping shadows over the restless earth. The kind of woods that had long been whispered about around campfires, where locals caution against wandering after dusk. An eeriness hung in the air here, tangible and thick, curling like smoke through the tree trunks. The moss that cloaked the gnarled roots and rotting logs seemed almost too verdant, too alive, while the trees towered like stoic sentinels, watching. A motley group of friends, 4 in number, had arrived to spend a weekend camping within this infamous patch of wild. Maybe it was youthful hubris, the lure of adventure, or simply a craving to escape the monotony of their everyday lives that drew them into Black Grove's ominous embrace. As they pitched their tents under mighty oaks, each stole glances at the forest's depths, a sea of shifting shadows that refused to settle, as if perpetually stirred by some unseen breath. "I swear, these trees," Jenny whispered, her voice a tremulous thread in the twilight. "When you look away, they move. Like their shifting position." Mark laughed it off, striding confidently among them. "Trees don't move, Jenny. That's just your imagination running wild." But even Mark's bravado wavered as the evening wore on. The thicker the night became, the more those piercing eyes in the woods seemed to watch, and the sounds began. A subtle rustle beneath the moss, a soft exhale, a strange, almost organic breathing, like the woods themselves inhaling and exhaling around them. The story began the previous autumn. Residents of the nearby town of Greycliff spoke of campers who returned pale and shaken, their nights haunted by something unfathomable. Some never returned at all. Those that did told of the trees, how they seemed to lean and bend when no one was watching, ever so slowly repositioning themselves. Of the sound beneath the moss, the unmistakable rhythmic breathing not belonging to any animal they knew. It was as though the very forest was alive, sentient, and perhaps vengeful. On the second night, as rain wept softly on the canvas roofs of their tents, the breathing grew louder, rhythmic, mechanical in its persistence. Sam, the group's skeptic until proven otherwise, was the first to venture out, flashlight slicing through the ink-black night, aiming to debunk the breathing as some wild animal or methane bubble escaping the earth. But the forest swallowed his beam. There was no rustle, no scampering squirrel. Only a faint, wet inhalation beneath the moss, dry and deliberate. Ash awoke with a start, his body slick with cold sweat. The strange sound had crawled into his dreams. Those dreams of slow, gnarled faces appearing in the bark only to melt away upon blinking. He sat upright, peering into the near darkness of their campfire's dying embers. The others were still asleep or pretending to be. But Ash felt drawn, a compulsion thrumming beneath his skin, pulling towards the deeper thicket that gave off a pulsing green glow unlike any natural luminescence. Without a word, he grabbed his jacket and slipped away. His boots sank silently into the thick carpet of leaves and moss, footsteps muffled by damp earth. The wood around him throbbed with life. The very ground beneath seemed to pulse like a heartbeat. The sounds were clearer now, a wet, sucking cadence almost like a giant lung breathing just underneath the forest floor. Ash stopped at the foot of an ancient willow, its twisted long limbs drooping low over what appeared to be a mound of moss-covered earth. His flashlight illuminated the moss, and to his horror, it shifted under the light. The breathing intensified, as if angered by the intrusion. The moss peeled back slowly, revealing a slick, organic flesh beneath. The mound opened, gaping with root-like tendrils that writhed in the air, thick mucus dripping from their slick tips. A blinding wave of nausea swept through Ash as the creature, this living, breathing part of the forest, opened further. It pulsed, rhythmic and mesmerizing, a primordial heart beating where none should exist. Branches above began to creak and twist with unnatural speed, and Ash realized the trees formed limbs, reaching with druidic grasp to trap him. His instincts screamed to flee, but his feet stuck like roots in rich soil. Suddenly, the earth erupted, and a low groan, half-plant half-entity, rumbled out. It spoke in a language older than human memory, a susurration of leaves and breath. Ash collapsed, sensing the forest's ancient hunger. It was not merely alive, it was aware and alive in a way that consumed the space it inhabited. The trees, the moss, the soil were all extensions of one horrific, breathing organism, feeding slowly on all who dared enter. Dawn was slow to arrive. When it did, the friends discovered Ash's abandoned jacket near the willow. No sign of Ash remained except for the faintest impression in the moss, like the outline of a human form pressed deep into something too alive to be called earth. Panic gripped them. Decisions were made quickly. They packed what they could and hurried toward the trailhead, but the woods resisted. Trees that had appeared distant now loomed impossibly close, their limbs curling like claws and bark turning to a slimy flesh as they shifted inexorably. Mark tripped over a root, and in the sudden silence, a rasping breath gurgled directly behind him. He spun around but found nothing except the creeping moss trailing behind a tree. Then the ground beneath his feet moved, a slow ripple traversing the dirt, undulating as if a giant pulse traveled just beneath. The woods weren't just watching now, they were pursuing. The forest embraced them relentlessly in a twisting maze of shifting trunks and vines that tightened like constrictors. Their shouts became gulped and distorted, smothered under the breath of green decay. The towering sentinels burned with a sickly green glow that pulsed with the rhythm of that breathing heart beneath the moss. Night fell again, and the woods grew quieter, too quiet. The group huddled close, every instinct screaming at the unnatural stillness. Then came the sound. A low, guttural inhalation vibrating through the ground itself, followed by tendrils of moss sliding between fingers and toes like tendrils searching for entry. Jenny swatted away the moss, only to realize it was soft and warm, almost pulsing, alive. A shudder rippled through her. Something moved in the shadows, limbs of bark twisting into vague humanoid forms made of twigs and needle-thin leaves. Their deep eyes reflected the bioluminescent green glow, watching, waiting. The group stripped their clothes and tried to burn off the moss, setting small fires around their camp, yet the flames sputtered and fizzled, the dampness of the place far too thick and unnatural. Every time they thought they had broken free, the forest reformed, roots writhing beneath their feet and branches bending the paths back in on themselves. Despair crept in, the deep-rooted fear of becoming one with the forest, to be swallowed whole by the land itself and lost as it fed on their very existence. Their bodies tingled under the moss's touch as the breathing grew deafening, a living pulse underneath the earth. The forest thrummed with an ancient hunger, and slowly, the survivors became certain of one terrible truth. In Blackgrove, the woods do not merely observe. They breathe, they think, and they consume. Mark was the last to succumb. His screams swallowed by the thick canopy, the moss crawling over his skin, turning him slowly into something other. By dawn, only Jenny remained. Weak, panting, and numb to pain, she staggered to the edge of Blackgrove and collapsed just beyond the treeline. Town officials found her the next day, a living ghost with empty eyes and a story fragmented by trauma. She spoke once of the woods shifting when no one was looking, of the breathing that came from beneath the moss, and of the forest that was alive. An ancient entity older than time, lying dormant only until it decided to claim its due. Afterward, the camp was closed indefinitely. Few dared venture near Blackgrove, and those who pass on tales warn with trembling voices. The woods watch, the woods breathe, and should you stray too deep, They may welcome you as one of their own, rooted forever, eternally alive beneath the moss that breathes. For more stories, like and subscribe.